All right. I'm assuming that we're live right now, so I'm just going to say good evening, Scanner Monkeys. Jay Bain here with very special guest, our favorite Canuck, Brian the Beaver Vino, and that is how you pronounce his name, right? Vino,
That's right.
just like wine. So I
Just like
love it.
mine.
Just like wine. So Brian the Beaver Vino, and most everyone I think in the chat. I mean, I'm looking at the names in the chat room, and I'm pretty sure 99% of the people here know who you are. Not necessarily even from Scanner Monkey, but from all the groups, Scan Power, your own groups, Fast Turn. Brian is a very prolific contributor to all the different groups. What you may not know about Brian, though, is that he was actually the third Scanner Monkey member behind, of course, me for starting it, and Chris Green. So he's the third guy in the group. And I got to say, I don't think the group would be the same without you, buddy. I mean, his posts are hilarious. You ask the most thought-provoking questions, and you get everybody in the group to really think about their business. I mean, it's every day. It's like, wow, where does he come up with this stuff? It's like your brain is just going 24/7. So I love the stuff that you post in the group. And I'm not going to talk too much about you. I want you to do that, and I'll let you kind of give everybody a little background on yourself for those that are not aware. Brian came from a full-time job as an engineer, right? Like a quality engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Basically a quality assurance engineer.
QA engineer. I think I remember reading that on your resignation letter, which I have a copy of, by the way. We're gonna show some pictures tonight. We're gonna have a little "This is your life" presentation, or as far as "This is your life" in Scanner Monkey screen share presentation. We'll get into that in a little bit. But why don't you tell everybody here kind of where you got started when you were doing this part time, and a little bit about where you are now.
Yeah. So obviously, I live in Canada, and I started getting kind of digging into eBay things, kind of researching about thrifting, selling on eBay. And then I ran into someone, Janelle Elms, who wrote a book, Home Run Guide.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Chris Green had some articles in there, and I was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. He had some really good articles about parting out tool sets and selling pieces of Power Wheels and different things like that. And I'm like, this guy thinks the way I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I started listening to interviews with him, and I'm like, man, he is fired up. I'm like, he's either on drugs or he's onto something. So
Right.
I'm like,
Probably a little of both.
yeah, could be. And so I'm like, I got to somehow make this work for me. How can I do it? And basically this was about 2 years ago. I spent like 3 or 4 months racking my brain trying to figure out how I can, get stuff to FBA. And one of the main concerns was like, I heard, if you send something to FBA and there's a customs attached to it, they're just going to reject it. And I was so fearful that they would get something, they would reject it and cancel my account. So for a while I was like, I don't know how, I don't know.
And these are mostly toys that you're sending too. It's not like you're sending any kind of, prohibited items. You pretty much started in the toy world, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But they said they had a rule like if they received a package, like they received a shipment and there was duty owing and they had to pay the duty themselves, they would just reject it.
Okay.
So anyway, so I was digging. I'm like, okay, finally, I'll just drive it across the border. So we drove, it's like 500 miles to the cross Maine.
Okay.
I had like a small shipment. I drove it across, finally found a Staples that was open that I could, send through UPS, sent some like used board games and basically sent them in. And then after that, I got back and I started figuring out, okay, if I do shipments small enough, I found one person that said something about how you can do it from Canada. And they said, if the shipments are under $200 in cost, you basically don't have to worry about duty. So that's
Okay.
what I started doing, was shipping boxes. It would be always be under $200, and I probably did that for good sidetracked by
Cordelia went there. I was thinking it, but she typed it. So, anyways, when you say under $200, I mean that for you, I mean you're buying Legos for like $1 and they're selling for $50 on Amazon, so you could send in 200 boxes and you're fine.
Yeah,
more or less.
Yeah,
At least that's what you claimed on the box. Like, oh, this is only worth $200, but you don't tell them what it's actually selling for.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know the legalities of that, and I don't want to talk about it without a lawyer present. But,
we're going to just say buy cost. Yes.
I say buy cost.
Yeah.
So basically, I was doing that for a while, and it was actually doing pretty good. Where I was getting some of that merchandise was from the precursor to Target in Canada, which was a department store called Zellers. They were going under and liquidating all their stuff. So, and I found a bunch of good stuff. Like I found a train set that I was buying for $35 and selling for $250. Just
nice.
Really, some really good stuff. And so it was working out, and the shipping is high cost. We can't get partnered rates. So
define high cost, because I know this is a challenge when you're buying in Canada and selling on Amazon.com versus Amazon.ca.
Yeah. So basically, a medium-sized box, 18 by 18 by 16, the Home Depot mediums,
right?
They cost about $46 to ship.
Really? Wow.
Per box, okay. Yeah. So it's and there was some boxes where it was like bigger than a large. There were 100. I had to send them a certain way. They were costing me $100 a box to ship them across.
Jeez, Lou. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I think it's like 10 times the cost.
So the question becomes, and I know everybody's wondering this, why sell on .com versus .ca, where the shipping cost would be so much less?
Yeah. So basically, when I started, I didn't even think of .ca. Like, I didn't even...
Because Chris didn't talk about it.
Yeah,
Chris Green never mentioned it in retail arbitrage.
So they didn't have an FBA program at the time.
Okay, all right.
So I didn't even... It was 6 months before I even signed up to Amazon.ca. And that's, I think, when they got their FBA program. So... but the problem with Amazon.ca is it's really slow. So
really slow in terms of sales velocity. Like you send it in, and it's maybe one item would sell where 100 items would sell on Amazon.com, more or less.
Yeah. So it's basically like if you take the sales rank to get an idea. So say like in toys, in Canada, if you're looking at a 10K item that's ranked in Canada, that's equivalent to about a 100K item on .com.
Okay.
So, I mean, that kind of there's probably a tenth of what you can buy.
So you sell on both platforms still, right? I mean, you still sell on Amazon in Canada, not as much. But right, I mean, how do you decide what to ship to? And I've seen your numbers on past posts. It's like, you may sell 30,000 on Amazon, and it'd be like 3,000 on Amazon Canada. So how do you determine which items to send into Amazon Canada?
If it's some items, it just for Amazon.ca. I can see some stuff where it's going to be profitable. Like today, my wife actually found this. It was those NutriBullet things.
Oh yeah.
So they were
ranked really well.
Yeah.
like under 300 last time I checked, because I've
Yeah.
sold a few of those myself. So yeah,
So they
great item.
were on sale and on clearance. Like it was a sale plus a buy one, get one half off or something.
Mm-hmm.
But for those really popular items, our prices in Canada might be even high, like way higher to start out with. So on Amazon.com, I think it was like in the store, maybe it was going for $90, and on Amazon.com it was selling for like 60.
Oh,
So
okay.
right off the bat, it's really, you're really getting a good deal on Amazon.com, but you just can't make a profit. But on Amazon.ca, where there was less competition, it was viable. I think it's those popular items that are maybe the competition has beat down the price on .com.
Yeah.
On
Not as
.ca,
much
it might be a
competition
good
on
thing.
.ca. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, I look at Lego, I look at Nerf, like super popular things. For
To this
.ca.
day, I'm still so jealous of you. You and I have known each other for a long time virtually. I hope we actually get to shake hands someday. Maybe you can come down to the Scanner Monkey cruise in Miami. I don't know. Chat room,
Yeah.
Do you think we could talk them into coming down and hanging with us? If you're willing to drive 500 hours to turn in a small shipment, least you can do is get your ass down to Miami and get on a cruise with us. Come on. See, look at that. The chat room is wanting you there, man. We want you there. You need to come down. Bring SPF 100 lotion, whatever you need, because you're not used to the sun.
We'll park at home.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, I digress. So you're selling these things on Amazon.ca that are too much competition on Amazon.com.
Yeah, basically super popular things where you can get a good deal. I mean, this was like. The thing I seen today was probably 40 to 50% off. So it was, it was a pretty good deal. And on .com or .ca, it probably had an elevated price a little bit.
Mm.
So that's kind of what I do on .ca. I actually found, for the first year, I was like toys, all toys. But toys is a good
50% Legos.
Yeah.
I can never find Legos on sale. You're just like, oh yeah, it's $2 here, selling for $100. I hate you.
Toys is a good category because it's like often sells over MSRP, but it's not as fast. It doesn't have as much sales velocity as some other categories,
right?
Like health and beauty, video games. Other categories like that sell, or even books. All those things sell faster than video games. So I've been kind of looking towards those for .ca, things that move a little faster. Same with .com. I'm moving more out of toys and into other categories where they move faster. Toys are, kind of easy sometimes when they're like selling for inflated prices, but
yeah.
But
you're doing a ton of business during Q4. I know, and I've seen the pictures of your basement. Actually, you know what? Let's do this before we get too much into this. I'm going to do a little share screen here, and I'm going to showcase some of your basement pictures. So I don't know can y'all see my screen right now? Let me move over my chat room here. Is everybody looking at the Scanner Monkey group page now? Yes.
I seen the other day there's like 5,000 pictures on there.
All right. Oh, wait, that's not the picture I wanted to show. That's Beaver at work right there, doing a little online arbitrage, working with his VAs. So this is kind of historical and hysterical. This is Brian's first post in the Scanner Monkey group. I found this, I remember you saying the word beaver in there. So I did a search for beaver. Man, I had to search through a lot of posts to find this because beaver's mentioned a lot. For a group that's all about monkeys, there's sure is a lot of mention of your name and beaver spelled out. So, this is, we started the group back on October 25th. So your post was on October 28, 2013. So I took a wrong turn, ended up here and asked if we accepted beavers, which obviously we do. And, here we go. Here's your resignation letter that you shared with the group. You were Mr. Part-time for, let's say, October is when the group started. So in the group, you were part-time for about 8 months before you actually bit the bullet and convinced your wife that even though she was pregnant with a baby on the way, let's take this thing full-time, baby. Let's build the beaver empire. So you put in your resignation, and thank you for blanking out your employer's name, so nobody can do research on you, saying that, hey, thanks for everything, but I'm heading out. You guys are costing me more money than you're making me. I need the time to get out there and do some traveltage and ship a bunch of toys and whatnot into Amazon.com. And this was July 11th. So.
Yeah, actually, my wife was like, okay, if you're going to do this thing, you're going to do it right now.
Oh, yeah?
She was like, this is the time to do it. You don't have another time to do it. So if you're going to jump, you better jump right now.
Are you tearing up a little bit coming down memory lane here looking at this? It's like best decision I ever made. I mean, you don't regret this decision at all. You can't regret this decision.
No, not at all. It was really good. It really turned out a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
So it's really been a good thing, and I've really surprised myself at how much my business increased. You've probably seen me at my posts back then. Was like I posted something like, when you quit and you go full time, does your sales go up or does it go down?
Yeah, I remember that post.
And everybody's like, hello, it goes up. I was like, I don't know though. It might not go up.
Well, here's another one from you. Is your motivational post? This is from 2 months after you joined the group. And you basically were talking about everybody told you were just dumber than a box of rocks for going into Amazon from Canada. And, you talk about driving to the main border for 5 hours with you say small shipment. What was a small shipment? I mean, you probably spent about as much money in gas.
Yeah, exactly. It was
profit.
It wasn't profitable at all. Yeah. It was probably like 4 board games and 5 video games and maybe a toy or something. It was like really small. I just wanted to see
10 hours round trip for that.
Yeah. I just wanted to see if it would work.
It worked out well though, because at least it got you rolling, just baby step, get you started. So that's cool. So, but you basically said it can be done. I'm doing it. I'm here to tell you. So you shared that in the post. And then what am I looking at now? You sent me this today. This is what's going on with Target. So as you mentioned Zellers, they went out of business, and you just drove around and bought stuff for pennies on the dollar, all the clearance sales. Now you're doing the same thing because Target's pulling out of Canada, right?
Yeah. They're pretty much out now. I mean, there is a store, one Target in my city that's has 5 days left. But I've been driving around. So in this past weekend, we went probably 4 hours away from home and went to 3 different cities, picking up all the stuff that we can find. But man, it's like, who wants to shop in this store?
Right. Oh, I thought this was the after picture. I thought maybe the before picture was just full shelves, and then you and your son just destroyed it and filled up like 9 carts. So it wasn't that much fuller when you arrived.
No, we did get.
There's Peter.
Yeah, we did clear this shelf. We bought printer ink. It was there was 2 hours left until the store closed. When we went into the store, the sign said 90%. Then I was talking to the lady there. She said, actually, it's 95%. So we're like, okay, load up.
Yeah.
Put the cart to the cash. We're waiting in the cash, and they're like, okay, it's now at 98%.
And you held out, didn't you? I was like, I think I could get 99.
Yeah, I think we can.
So here's your savings right here. I love this screenshot. $2,090 savings, and you paid $49. And this is mostly printer ink, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So this, and after this, they put on my red card, which took it down another 5%.
So in the end, they ended up paying you some money, right?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So it was, it's crazy. Crazy how cheap that is.
But they're almost out of there now.
Yeah, they're pretty much done.
Okay. So this is what your basement looks like when you come home from either travel-tage around Canada or where, I don't know where you're going. I think this is an older picture if I remember correctly. This is maybe from a few months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you look like the storage room for Toys R Us. Honestly, this doesn't look like a residential home by any means.
It's got better than that. It's better than that now, but so I've got my my brother's wife working with me on every Tuesday. So we kind of, she's like 2001's Tetris champ. So she can line up.
Is that a made up thing, or did that really happen?
That's a made up thing, but she is like awesome at packing that stuff in the box.
Yeah, like better than you?
Way better than me.
Yeah, all right.
So she packed the box, and I'm used to like 25-pound boxes. I picked this thing up, and I'm like, it's 40 pounds. I'm like, can't believe you packed that much stuff in there.
She's like, come on, you wuss.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. And this is kind of, I guess this is the after picture of this. All these toys. And there's a few bolos in here. I see some things that I've actually purchased in the past, and I'm sure I didn't get nearly as good a price as you did, like these big old Lincoln logs. And I just remember, I mean, you go into some of these stores, and it's like, hey, there's like a 3-year-old Nerf gun machine gun here that's selling for $400 on Amazon. The guy's giving them to me for $30, and then he said, let's go down to my basement. I have more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that Nerf gun is in this picture, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. So in the underneath the blue thing, underneath the Halo box.
Okay. There you go, right there.
So that's that thing. We got them last year too. At Christmas, we found a few, and they were selling for like $350 a piece.
Sometimes you feel like you need to like send Lego or Nerf a thank you letter or. Like, I've made so much money off of you. You might as well just have stock in the company. So
it's unbelievable sometimes.
So there's some cool pictures. So those are ones that you shared with the group. That's kind of the Beaver, This Is Your Life, and Scanner Monkey quick recap there. So he shared lots of pictures like that with lots of disgruntled wife remarks. She's like, can't get to the laundry or whatever because your house is just ceiling to floor with all the stock that you're storing there. So
yeah, I've had a hard time. I'm really good at buying stuff, buying it, bringing it home, and then it just like that was my biggest problem was getting the stuff out the door. It would sit around for so long
because you're out buying more.
Because I'm out buying more, and the buying is so addictive.
Yeah.
And the packing and shipping is like not fun at all.
That's why I'm using the prep service. That's what it's all about. I mean, 15 minutes and boom, done. And somebody else is doing all the packing and shipping for you. So
actually the funny thing, I don't even know if Holly's on here, but Holly's doing pack and prep for me.
Holly Soda?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, she's got an inventory prep service.
Yeah. And I think she's getting a little mad at me because I was buying stuff and sending it to her and I hadn't made up a shipment. And it was like 2 months of stuff going to her before.
So you're still you've got a service. It's doing it for you and you're still procrastinating on getting it listed.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I did actually do that yesterday. So
Mm,
I might get back in our good books,
yeah.
but it's
All right.
still, I don't know. It's tough. You just want to buy, and
I hear you. Well, we'll talk about how your business has evolved. I mean, you've been through a lot of changes just in this last, ever since you quit your job back in July. You've changed your product mix now. You've hired help. Kind of walk us through what you did shortly after you quit the secure job and went into this thing full time.
yeah. So I kind of moved. One of the things that someone mentioned, it never clicked at the time, but it's like um, I was always chasing the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, I find this one thing and let's go find another thing that I can sell, and it's like the treasure hunt of finding the things. But then that first thing that you might have bought, maybe I could have bought, a month's supply of that and started selling it on a regular basis. So I wasn't really looking at the replenishables. Like some of these things could be replenishable, but I was off chasing the next thing.
Mm.
So I was, kind of locked into that mindset of like, I'm finding opportunities is the way to think, but I wasn't really
Instead of finding the wholesaler that reps the brand or the manufacturer and then just reordering and shipping it in, you're enjoying the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did instead of doing that, or I changed it up a little bit, and those things that I'm finding, I'm kind of keeping track of like, okay, what are the good things that I'm finding consistently, and let's focus on those. Let's get supply of those. Let's try to get a month or more of those and buy them as much as I can, and sure, find the other things, but focus on getting the supply down. And maybe I haven't gone wholesale yet. I have found some wholesale accounts. I just can't find the money in it, but
You got some manufacturers up there in Canada too. I mean, you might have an advantage in that respect that you can find some wholesalers and some manufacturers that are based out of Canada that would give you a bit of an advantage over us U.S. citizens.
Yeah, and I mean, a few people along the way have mentioned that they're buying stuff from Canada. I just can't figure out what it is and where I can get it.
Put a bounty on it,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, more online stuff, focusing on the things that sell, and then kind of branching out from toys into other categories like health and personal care, beauty,
sexual wellness.
Some sexual wellness.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. I will say this. We do a Monkey Monday poll every Monday in the Scanner Monkey group, and I try to tie it into whatever topic we're going to be discussing on our Thursday night Scanner Monkey show. And in this poll, we asked people, he's like, we all know Brian for a while. Like, what do we want him to discuss on the show? And we gave him like 6 options. And what do you think was the number one option that they wanted you to discuss tonight? Take a guess.
Probably be lubricant.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding. You got it. Everybody wanted to hear you talk about your foray into the world of sexual wellness, because those are some fun posts to watch. You walking into the whatever section of the drugstore and looking at lubes and condoms, and lately you're more into clothing, so you're getting embarrassed by walking into the bra section.
Yeah, exactly.
Target or whatever. But I mean, you've done pretty well with those things, right?
Yeah, and I remember there was this liquidation store that I went to, and I was like, okay, people. It was right around when Scanner Monkey started, and Dwayne or JC was talking about lube. I'm like, I better scan this. So I scanned it, and I was like, this might, because Dwayne was talking about replens, or fast turns and replens and that stuff. I was like, oh, maybe this could be my fast turn thing. So I scanned it. It was like, for selling, or the buy price was $5. and it was selling on Amazon for $50. I was like,
Wow.
what? So so I messaged Dwayne and I'm like, what about this?
This is at midnight, right?
Yeah.
Midnight Dwayne's
Okay,
time. I think I recall this post. It's like, that's how awesome of a person Dwayne is. He actually took the call. Like, what? Okay, yeah, let's see. What kind of lube is it? And he helped you out.
So he was like, man, that's, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But, the fast turn things are supposed to be like small margin, but it was like huge margin, right? So I did that for a while, buying up as much of that stuff as I could, and I was actually finding it on store shelves and everything.
Yeah.
But later on, I found out that the item had actually been recalled in the U.S., so I had to stop selling it and move on. And then
Did you
Randy,
have to have any of it returned to you? Like,
no, I didn't. I just
half a pallet of lube just shows up at your house. Look, honey.
I actually
That's a Craigslist ad you don't want to be placing.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think. Half a pallet of lube for sale. Yeah, let's meet in the McDonald's parking lot.
Yeah. Just to digress a little bit. So, I have all this stuff, those toothpaste and vitamins that expired, and I just want to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm connected up with a friend, and he's going to Cuba. So all these vitamins and toothpaste and toothbrushes and
that have already expired.
Stuff that was like close to expiry, I can't sell them. So all that stuff is going to Cuba with him. So while I was digging through, I found one box of that lube that I first bought.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man, I should throw that in. But I'm like, it's going to be a difficult conversation when I get to this guy's house. And I'm like, yeah, you can take this lube down to there.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, it's even going to be a more difficult decision for him.
Yeah.
Like, get down there and it's like, oh yeah, I got you some vitamins and, well, there's lube. I guess you could use that.
There's a bundle opportunity for you, Cordelia. I don't know why, but vitamins and lube. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So and then Randy Reynolds, I think, he mentioned another lubricant, and I started finding those again, and I probably found like 50 of those, and so for a while there, I was going in that direction, but the market kind of dried up, and so now I'm kind of moved.
No pun intended. Okay. All right, move on.
So now I'm kind of moving to, like I said, health and personal care without the lube, and beauty, video games, getting into clothing, shoes. So
the mix has changed considerably. It's not like 75% toys. It's now like you're kind of splitting it somewhat evenly amongst all those different categories.
I was down as low as like 45% toys. So I think Jay blushed. Yeah. So toys is not the majority of what I'm selling anymore. But
you're doing more online now. So you're purchasing online and you're having the help of VAs with this now, right?
Yeah, I do some of that with I found actually clothing and shoes to be a kind of a good area where VAs could do that.
Mm-hmm. And that's all going to Amazon.com as well. Are you shipping a majority of that and not really so much to Amazon Canada?
No, so none of it's going to Amazon Canada. So Amazon.com. So yeah, and I'm finding one of my favorite categories now is shoes. I find like there's a lot of shoe opportunities out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing with the VAs.
Okay.
And now I've got help. and I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about the next steps, whether it's, I need my own location, like a warehouse type thing, or you know, dedicated employee, something like that might be my next step to just because I feel like I'm not actually sourcing that much. So I'm sourcing probably a day and a half a week.
Mm-hmm.
And actually most times we do it on the weekend. So we probably do a day through the week and then do it on the weekend. So, which is a weird change, right? I mean,
That's a big difference. When you used to soar, I mean, you were an hour at your lunch, and then as soon as you're off work, you're out there, hustling it, and just almost all the time. And now you've kind of shifted your focus to more online arbitrage, a couple days a week with the retail. Are you still doing the travel taj? You still, driving?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do.
And camping and buying and then shipping and camping. And I always enjoy those posts as well.
Yeah. So what we do probably every second weekend is we'll get in the car on Friday and we'll drive to 3 or 4 hours to the next city and then hit all the locations along the way. But and it's me and my wife and my son and and the baby.
Got him sourcing now too, huh?
Yeah.
Never too early.
Yeah. So the deal is like, we'll go say 4 hours away. We'll stay at a hotel.
Mm.
The hotel makes my wife happy. The pool makes my son happy.
There you go.
The driving makes the baby happy. And
look at that. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And the product
makes you happy.
Sourcing makes me happy, right? So
it's a good equation.
That's kind of what we've gone with is the way to do it. But I mean, we're running out of space, and we got to get a larger vehicle and do some of that stuff. But
yep, there you go. If the princess ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. That's the true Svetlana, without a doubt. So okay. So with this shift to more online arbitrage, not as much retail arbitrage, you've got help now. If it's not, maybe a day or two a week is pretty much when you're getting the help with shipping this stuff out, right?
Right. Yeah.
And somebody had mentioned in the group, I think it was Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, that have you considered maybe hiring a VA in the States and then having them purchase on this side of the border and ship to this side of the border, prep services or what have you?
Yeah,
that's something you've looked into as well?
That's something that crossed my mind because when there's bolos that are bolos that put out on the group or bolos that are shared, a lot of times I can't take advantage of those just because the bolo might be like you can buy this certain toy because it's buy one get one half price at Target.
Yeah, and they don't have the same deal up there. And
use this coupon and all this different things, and we're not even going to have Target. And the sales, the prices and the sales are different. And same with the Toys R Us thing. You guys get the deals on Thursdays and, combine all the deals. So that's something that did cross my mind is to have like somebody in the U.S. to kind of go out and get stuff for me. But I haven't really ventured too far. That's kind of a tough thing to do because, it's tough for me to find somebody without being on the ground, knowing people there or somehow finding people. But
right. Hey, where a lot of people? Facebook.
Yeah.
You're in like 1,000 groups now, right? And you own like half of them, I think. So, I mean, you could always put a post out with, some folks that are in the various groups. I bet you could get some kind of traction with that.
Yeah. And I actually wondered if the pack and prep people might have, some neighborhood kid they know that runs around and gets all the stuff and brings it to them.
Right.
That might be the easy thing to do. But I'm actually the other thing that I'm looking at too is to get buyers in other places in Canada. So I have a buddy that picks up a certain item for me Like I have one item that kind of makes me like $50 a day. So that item, I'm having him finding as much as he can, and I'm finding as much as I can here. So he's kind of helping me out in that
So
regard.
he's just going to the stores. I mean, he's buying direct from whatever department store or what have you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm looking at expanding that way too, to have like, buyers, different places. I kind of feel like, when I left my work, I was kind of nervous,
Mm-hmm.
but now I kind of feel like very bullish. Like this is huge opportunity.
Future's bright.
Yeah, exactly. And that
got to wear shade. And the wife's on board too. That's the most important thing. I mean, I know that's been a big concern of yours, and you post in the group quite a bit. It's, it's like, how do I broach this subject with my wife? And this is going to be tough. And now she's fully vested. She's a believer in what you're doing. And you're not just doing, the FBA thing. I mean, you have groups, you just started your split of VA service, which I definitely want to talk about that, to help out not only yourself with the clothing and the shoe purchases that you can ship in, but also help other FBAers. And why don't you talk about that a little bit? We'll kind of go off on a different track here. So As far as the split of VA, it's an FBA, it's a Facebook group that you started, and it's I don't know, how many members do you have at this point?
So I think there might be 50 to 80 people in there.
Okay. Are you looking to recruit some more to continue to build different VA groups?
Yeah, at a slow pace. So basically what happened there is I have belonged to two mastermind groups so far. Mm-hmm. And in the mastermind groups, we made a decision to hire a VA for the mastermind group. So I was kind of part of the process in hiring. Wasn't that involved in the first one, but in the second one, I was like, okay, I'm going to be the point man on this, and I'm going to take it. So I went through the process and figured out, how to screen the virtual assistants. We pooled together how to train them, and basically for that group, we have a virtual assistant for the mastermind group that basically finds us deals, and we split on the cost. So then,
is your entire mastermind group, are they all Canada based, or are they all over?
No, they're all over. Actually, most US.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's Scanner Monkey people in there.
Right.
I'm not going to reveal any names.
Do you have now that you're splitting up? Yeah,
we don't
have to divulge names. How many VAs do you have there that you're splitting up amongst because you have subgroups within the face. It's not like everybody is jumping on, here's 4 VAs and there's 200 people splitting 4 VAs.
Yeah, exactly. So
got them in smaller groups.
Yeah, in the first group, I think in our mastermind group, there's probably 13 of us going in together on one VA. Mm-hmm. And then so then I have an actual VA just for myself. And then I have two more VA groups. 2 more VA groups that have 12 other members in them. Mm-hmm. So we basically, I figure like 12 is a good number.
For one VA?
For one VA, yeah.
Okay.
So all the deals from that VA get shared just to the 12 people. And
you mind if I ask, which service are you using to hire? Are you using onlinejobs.ph, or are you using Elance or Odesk?
So we used Odesk a little bit, and now we're kind of shifting more to online jobs. Mm-hmm. Just because I found people that are from the Philippines tended to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I have them go through like, a screening thing, and then I have this form that they fill out with all these, math questions, and like make them
a train leaves Chicago going 60 miles an hour.
Exactly. So, find this leapfrog thing on 4 different websites and tell me what the four websites are. Or like, find something on Walmart that's double the price on Amazon, to kind of screen the virtual assistants.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm using majority onlinejobs.ph.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, here's the thing I found. So you can have a VA to yourself, and that's good. But you're probably only going to buy, like, say, 10 to 20% of what they find you.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's some...
Are we talking shoes and clothing still?
Yeah, let's say shoes and clothing.
I mean, that's pretty much what you have them focusing on, are the gated categories, like clothing and shoes. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, 10 or 20% of what they find, I'm going to pull the trigger on.
Mm.
Just because, you see too much competition, or you see the price, you think the price may erode, different whatever criteria you have.
Yeah.
But I find when you share it with a bunch of other people, my experience has been there's not that much clashing. Some people are paying attention that day. Some people aren't. Some people like that certain thing. They like that brand. They like the numbers, the rank. So it actually, people kind of spread out on the different items.
Yeah.
So then basically you get the cost benefit of not paying the full amount, but you're not having that much impact on the splitting.
Right.
And I found clothing and shoes as kind of a sweet spot for the VAs. Like, in other categories, they're getting some stuff, but it wasn't that substantial. Clothing and shoes right now is kind of...
It's not as much competition.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff up for grabs and that.
Because it's gated. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
And it sort of... I think clothes and shoes lend themselves to online arbitrage. It's kind of hard in the store when you're looking at a shoe, you can't find the barcode, and you're like, okay, what's the model of this shoe?
Mm-hmm.
Can't seem to find it, and it's difficult in the stores at times. So,
especially if they're not boxed, like they are in a lot of the
exactly.
The discount stores like Ross and Marshalls, TJ Maxx.
I don't know if you guys have the same thing, but I'm looking at the shoe box, and I can kind of make out the barcode underneath the big giant sticker that they put on there, and I'm trying to like punch it into my phone to find exactly what shoe this is. It's that makes it difficult, but so I think it lends itself to
half the time
online
it comes up, you can't find it anyway. So yeah. So I'm definitely doing a little bit more of that as well with my VA, and I agree with you. I think Online Jobs PH is the way to go. You have to pay for that service versus Elance and Odesk. There's not a little charge, but it's been my experience that if you're going to create an app or write a program of some kind, then Odesk and Elance are great. That's how Chris Green found the guy that's helping him with all the Scam Power stuff with the software that he has in place. So, but in terms of finding a good virtual assistant to help you with online arbitrage, I mean, I've posted a few ads, and I'm just stunned by the amount of them that have experience with exactly what I'm looking for. It's like, oh yeah, I've already done that, and here's some of the companies that I've worked for, and they'll give you quotes of I've found 10 to 20 products a day, good solid leads or what have you. So it's like there's a lot of them out there. I mean, I'm just now kind of opening my eyes to this stuff. I've got an interview with 3 VAs tomorrow to help verify products on CyberMonkey deals. So that's automated software, but we still want to have that human element to kind of double check that, checks and balances, and make sure that the products do match, with Target.com and the Amazon listings. So, but it's been an interesting experience getting to know how the whole process works and the background for each VA. So I think it's a great idea. I'm glad that you did that service, because I think it's something that people have been asking for. Certainly in Scanner Monkey for a while, it's like I don't have enough work for a VA to pay. And here's the thing, like for people that haven't used VAs in the past, it's been my experience that if you get one full time for a monthly pay, you can pretty much pay anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month, depending on the quality of the VA that you get. Are you finding the same thing to be true? It's like $500 a month will get you a kind of a lower level, just online arbitrage kind of VA. Or are you paying more? Are you paying less?
I'm paying a bit less, probably between $350 and $500 is kind of the range that I'm seeing. But yeah,
Hi, Sean.
But yeah, it's definitely a good. I find it to be a good deal. And my VA, I had her go through and tell me like how many things are you checking per day, and it was she can check like 350 items a day. So I mean, I don't see it. It's a possibility.
We're talking full time here then. 350 items. That's a full time. That's 8 hours.
Yeah, 8 hours a day. Yeah. So I mean, I can't see myself sitting behind a computer and doing that. It's just.
There you go. Okay, you locked up on me there for a second. So you said that 350 items a day, that's full time. That's like 8 hours a day.
Yep. So that's what she's verifying. She's like looking at this item, finding it on Amazon, checking the price, move on to the next one. She can do about 350, maybe 400 per day. And I can't sit an hour behind the computer trying to do this stuff and not kind of lose interest and off on Facebook or doing some other thing. You know, I just don't have that focus to kind of focus in and check link after link after link all day long.
Yeah.
But
me neither.
That's work that they don't, you know, she doesn't seem to mind that. So
okay. So what are you charging your users for the service? So if you got a group of 12 that are splitting a VA, what is each person chipping in then?
So each person's chipping in 45.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. $45 a month to split a VA to source clothing and shoes primarily, right?
Yep, clothing and shoes primarily. So I have two groups that are do clothing and shoes, and I'm starting up one group that's everything else basically. And I don't know. I'll probably go another clothing and shoes one. The other interesting thing is like I didn't know these people existed before, but there's people out there now that they want to do Amazon completely hands off. They just want to supply the money and click the links to buy.
Yeah.
You know? They don't want to touch merchandise. They don't want to do anything like that. They just want to have people find them things.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Send it to them. Click buy. Get it sent to the prep house. Prep house sends it to Amazon and collect the checks. They've got probably lots of extra money, and it's sort of a passive income strategy, right? So they're just like, you know what? I can do Amazon, but not get into all this crazy work stuff.
Sure.
I'm just going to buy things.
You go from having more time than money to having a lot more money than time. You know,
exactly.
It's an evolution you see a lot of times, and it's something where I'm trying to leverage my time as well with the VAs and the prep service and whatnot. So, I mean, more power to them if they can do that. And there's just so many resources. I mean, I've just learned so much in the last 3 months versus the last almost 3 years that I've been doing this. That's just available out there. It's like, why wasn't I doing this earlier? It's just, but I guess, like anything else, you want to pay your dues. You want to learn, what you're doing. So when you do have the spreadsheets of things, you can develop hunches on some of these things that you can use to buy the right item or, something you think is going to do well and sell with, good velocity. So
I consider like the VA angle to be kind of a brute force. They're not experts at they're not like us. They don't know that, old Nerf is hot or whatever toy is hot right now is like the thing to go for. But they can go through systematically through every listing and check, right?
Right.
They can go, Old Nerf is hot, yeah. So they could go through.
That's the quote of the day right there. We're going to post that tomorrow in the group. Old Nerf is hot. Beaver says, if you take anything out of this Zoomcast, Old Nerf is hot. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they can go through, say, go to the clearance section of this website, check every one.
Mm.
And I mean, we can go in there, and a lot of times, I do this. I go into a store or I'm sourcing, and I'm like, oh, that thing isn't any good. Like you develop brands that you're like, you just blind eye to that brand. You're like, okay, that nothing in that brand is ever good.
Mm.
So you just keep walking by, but then sometimes when you go back and you're like, okay, I'm just going to search every single item. You're like, oh, there is, some Hot Wheels thing that actually is good.
Right.
So a lot of times we kind of develop, what brands or what classification of items are good, and we block everything else out.
Mm.
But they kind of do the brute force thing where they just look at every single item, and sometimes that brings up stuff that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, it's a shotgun approach versus the the rifle approach. So
yeah, exactly.
Shoot at everything, and then you're going to come up with maybe 10% of those items that are good profits. So exactly, RB3, preconceived notions vanish with fresh eyes. That's absolutely the truth. So let me ask you this. Go ahead.
Sorry, one of the examples of that is like Angry Bird stuff. Like I was like
huge at one time. Yeah,
everything Angry Birds. Whenever I scanned it, I'm like, it's all just junk, and I didn't even ever bother scanning it anymore.
Mm.
But like last year, someone in the Scanner Monkey group sent me a message and said, check this Angry Birds thing. We can't find it anywhere in the U.S. Maybe they can find it in Canada.
Yeah,
and it was like one of my largest items. Like one of my best-selling things was that Angry Birds thing.
Is it still selling well for you?
I've ran out of supply. Basically.
Yeah, so what is it? Do tell.
It was the Star Wars Angry Birds Heroes versus Villains.
Okay.
So it was a pack, and it was
like when you actually like pull back the little slingshot like manually and just
it was just the figures that go in the go with the iPad.
Oh, with the okay, all right, the app mates.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was like an app mate thing. So anyway, I bought. I hope whoever sent me the tip isn't listening. But anyway, so he told me about them, and I happened to be in Toys R Us at the moment. He told me about it, and I'm like, oh, I'll go over and check. And sure enough,
in cap filled.
Yeah, sure enough, it was like there was none available on Amazon. Nobody else was selling it. So nice. I'm like, okay, $25. I'll try. He said last price was like $60, and I'm like, okay, I'll try $80.
Yeah.
And so I was doing. I sent in 10, sell. So then I just kept on ToysRUs.ca website. I just kept buying and buying and buying and buying. I must have bought probably, and it was a Toys R Us exclusive item.
Okay.
I probably bought like 150 of them from ToysRUs.ca. And nice. Probably like 50 other ones that I found in stores, and they all sold all at like $80 each.
Right. So
it was just like, huge, like 200 times 50, $10,000 it probably made me. But this was an item that I would probably skip over because it was like I had scanned Angry Birds 50 times and there never was any good ones.
God bless those scanner monkeys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's definitely a good testimonial there. All right, so let me ask you this. You're full-time now. Been doing it full-time since July. obviously it changes how you're investing your money. You know, when you were working a full-time day job and you're the, QA engineer, you're probably investing almost all of the money you're making on Amazon.com and Amazon.ca back into your business. Now you're, living off of this income. So what percentage are you putting back into inventory?
So almost before I went full time, I wasn't taking any money. I was investing it all back in. And now I sort of take a livable wage
For a family of 4.
Sounds like my wife talking.
Yeah.
So now I take a livable wage, and which is actually, so I took like a pay decrease. I actually pay myself would be $2,000 a month, which is my take home, that's like kind of low for me, because before I was probably making $1,200 more, but I'm still.
This is still Canada money, though.
Yeah, it's Canada
Cost
money.
of living's way lower up there.
It's colored money, so it's different. But so basically, I'm trying to take as low as I can to kind of invest more. Even if my wife wants, like, me to double my salary or whatever, I'm trying to take it as low as I can to invest more, because I know in the startup, the more I invest into it, the better it's going to be long term. If I start taking out a bunch of money now, I could probably stunt my growth. So I want to get to that place where I have a bunch of money to invest,
right,
and never have to really worry about it. So,
well, you're living the Dwayne Malick lifestyle. I mean, I like to call it that. But I mean, you're essentially debt free, right?
Yeah, I have a mortgage. So,
well, yeah. Other than your mortgage, you're not paying high interest rates on revolving credit or anything like that. You're pretty much cash and carry for the most part.
Yeah, paid
you
for
even have
vehicles.
a group about this, by the way, for anybody who's interested, called FBA Freedom.
Yep.
Right, and you talk about basically living debt free on Amazon income. I mean, it's pretty much tied into Amazon, right?
Yeah, I tried to basically, the goal of the group originally was to try to find people that are trying to get out of debt and show them the how to do Amazon, to try to help them get out of debt. But and we've attracted quite a few members that are like-minded. Dwayne's in there, and Dwayne paid off his house.
Sure.
A couple people this year posted that they've paid off their house, paid off their business debt, different things like that. So we got a lot of people there that are into this sort of mentality of getting out of debt,
right?
And so yeah, it's a good group, and that's kind of, even probably about a year prior to me starting on Amazon, we kind of listened to, I don't know how, but somehow this Canadian in Nova Scotia heard about this guy in Tennessee called Dave Ramsey, and started listening to him. I swear no other Canadian knows who this guy is. And
total
so
money makeover, man. Yeah.
And we started soaking in, I started soaking in this kind of mentality of like, and again, it was one of those things where it's like, this guy makes sense. This, what he's talking about, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
So we started this Dave Ramsey financial plan. He has like these baby steps where you pay off all your debt, save an emergency fund. That's kind of, a big part of why I could quit my job, is because I had at that moment I had 5 months in the bank, and I started saving to increase it even more. So
you had a good buffer. That's good.
yeah, a big buffer, and we were kind of ready for it. So yeah, and we used some of the Amazon early on, some of the Amazon money to help pay off debt, pay off our car, and we've been buying, cars with cash, big fat wads of cash,
Mm-hmm.
and
Now you're looking to buy a big fat car as well for more inventory.
yeah, exactly.
So
We're looking at Suburbans and
nice.
how about
Wow.
your Sequoia?
I'm loving my Sequoia. I mean, it's a little under 100,000 miles right now, and it's had very few issues. A little issue here and there, but I mean, it's a Toyota. I mean, those things are built to last, and when I'm ready to say sayonara to the wine gig, that's going to be my sourcing car. It's going to be my only car. My wife will get something else, but that's the cool thing. And Cordelia brought it up in the chat room earlier. About Dave Ramsey. He talks about how you can have these discussions with your significant other and your family about living this debt-free lifestyle. And it's quite honestly, it's been a challenge for me because my wife is she looks at things a little differently than I do. I look at debt as a tool to make money. I use my Toys R Us MasterCard online to buy everything. So I get, hundreds of dollars of free inventory. And then within 30 days, I pay it off. I pay off all my credit cards within 30 days. And my wife has not been that way before we were married. And it's taken a while to get her to evolve to a point where it's like, okay, if you're going to use the credit card, know this, your bonus you're getting next month, you're paying back every penny of that, of what because you're not making any, you're buying clothes with this, or you're buying whatever with this. But when I'm buying something, it's like I'm making money. I'm using it as leverage.
Yeah.
But I don't use credit. I don't use credit cards anymore. I'm not going to say we're 100% debt free. We are working towards that. I mean, I would imagine probably within the next 4 to 5 months, we're going to be at that point. But it's a great, if in my opinion, and I know every time I say stuff like this, I always say, Dwayne Malik earmuffs, because I know he doesn't want to hear this, but I mean, it's certainly helped me grow my business a lot faster than I would have without it, provided again that I knew I was going to have the cash to pay it back. So I'm not paying exorbitant interest rates of 20% and above. So but anyways,
yeah, I'm not gonna argue too hard with you, but there's a leverage part, and there's the bonus part. You get the 1 or 2% cash back bonus thing,
right? The rewards dollars,
miles,
hotel points, whatever you want to use it for. So.
Yeah.
But that's great that you can do that, because again, I mean, I saw a couple people in the chat room was like $2,000 a month. Oh my God, how do you live? If you don't have revolving debt, you'd be surprised how far $2,000, depending on I don't know what your mortgage payment is, but I mean, it is amazing that family of 4 can live on $2,000 a month. I don't really know what the exchange ratio is and what you're paying for utilities and all those other things, but if you're making a decent wage and your wife is on board and you're using this money and you're basically just kind of investing it back in the business, I mean, you're going to always have that like 1 year buffer of savings in the bank, and maybe then some, and pay off the house and be good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have 550 people that agree with you because they're in the same group with you. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
By the way, you really are. I mean, I got to say this. Your nickname's Beaver, Brian Vino, BV, Beaver. But you really are busier than a beaver. It's like when I thought about this today, it's like you have so much stuff. I mean, Chris talks about, the quad hustle, the triple hustle, whatever. I mean, you're running multiple groups. You've got the split of VA, you've got FBA Freedom. You're very involved in a lot of the groups to help other people out and really provide a lot of levity during our day, because it's like your posts are always hilarious. So it's like you're a busy guy, and then online arbitrage and retail arbitrage and traveltage. And oh, by the way, I also have a 4-month old baby. So it's like there's a lot of stuff going on. So I got tremendous respect for anybody that's kind of going through some of the same things that I am. But I mean, it's heartwarming to see, because it's like I do look at you as a bit of inspiration, because and this is not something I've talked about too publicly, but I mean, my goal is to not be, as much as I love my wine job, and it affords me so many great benefits and insurance and everything else. It's not something I can continue to do in good conscience. I mean, I don't want to do this probably beyond the next year. I'll just go ahead. Public proclamation right now. I'm looking to.
One of the three has to go.
Exactly. And it's an emotional decision for me because I've been doing it for 20 years, and I love. I was out the other night at a really nice steakhouse, eating really good food and drinking really good wine that I wasn't paying for because my company was paying for it, just because I was there to, I call it sing for my supper. I talk about wine with other wine drinkers, and they comp my meal, and it's all great. But by the same token, in the early days of FBA, I wouldn't be thinking, if I was home right now, I could be online and I could be, buying all these goods and shipping them to my prep service. I could be making a lot more money than I'm making sitting here talking to these people about wine. So it's Barrington had a spreecast a long time ago talking about when he quit his job. It's like, you're costing me money to work here. Like, my being here is costing me money. And that's kind of how I'm starting to shift my thinking. It's like, it doesn't matter how hard I work. It's, 5% increase or a nice little bonus, but ultimately it's not tied in. It's not a direct relationship. Your pay is not in direct relationship with how hard you're working. But with FBA, I mean, look at these FBA young guns we got in our group that are, last month, $100,000 month in a non-Q4 month. And they just started less than a year ago. That's just blows me away. I mean, I love it. So it's, I'm ready to be there, alongside them and leverage the time and the money and get it to that level. So anyways, it's, once again, I have digressed, but
I get in trouble.
It's exciting stuff.
I get in trouble a lot because, say if we pull up at a gas station, I go to pump gas, I'm on Facebook, like posting something, always posting. And my wife's like,
really?
God, would you just leave that phone alone?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, your wife and my wife together, I tell you, they could be talking.
And so she said, you're pretty much working like 24/7 all of the time. And I said, but I'm not working that hard.
Yeah, it's not work because you're enjoying it too, and I'm in the same boat. I mean, it literally, my wife will like grab my phone, turn it off. It's like, all right, we're done. It's date night, or we're out with the kids or whatever. Just no looking at your phone. And then I'll scanner monkey confession. Honey, I got to use the restroom. I will go to the restroom. I will pull my phone out and I will look to make sure there's nothing, urgent. I mean, there's nothing urgent about what we do, but it's, you still want to see what's going on, and it's addictive. I mean, it really is.
Sure.
I mean, whether you're looking at your pending orders or, hey, what's going on in certain Facebook groups or, whatever. So
I think the thing is like the connectedness. Like you're always on communicating all these different things, looking at your orders, but that's not like, that's not really that much work, but you're always connected. You're always, into the looking, you're always connected with what your account's doing or what's going on, or, what bolos are being posted or all this stuff. You're always connected, but you're still there, communicating with people somewhat. So, I mean, I think that's the problem is like, I'm not, it's not really working, but it's sort of not 100% paying attention all the time.
Yeah. And for folks like me with like severe ADD, it's like John Grollo says, it's like squirrel. I'm like I said, I'm right there with you. Okay, well, we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes here. So does anybody in the chat room have any questions that they would like to pose for our Canuck here, our resident Canuck? Whether it's about FBA in Canada or split a VA or FBA freedom. You need the FBA Facebook group again. All right, let's see. Cordelia, are you on that? I'm going to let her.
I'm sorry for everyone. I haven't really paid attention to the chat.
Cordelia's got a couple that from earlier in the chat that she could type in. How the devil do you make money after shipping? I think I may have answered that one. I mean, you're just buying so low and selling so high, you've got the buffer in there to kind of cover those additional shipping costs, correct?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I'm doing pretty well to get like to get 100%. I often get 100% ROI. So I mean, the shipping cost is usually 20% of the so it's probably 20% off the top of what I make.
Okay. Another question here. How do you cross the border with the product when the border guy always asks if you have anything you're leaving behind? Standard question at the border at Winnipeg to Grand Forks.
Yeah, I did it the once, and so I did one where I went over, and I said I didn't have anything. So, and then the first time I went over, I just said, "Oh, I've got like a box of board games that I'm gonna like ship out when I get over there." And they're like, "Oh, what's the value?" I was like, "Oh, it's like $100." And they just let me go. They're like, "Oh, just go through." So I don't have like a real.
You're not doing as much of the over the border stuff now, anyways.
No,
I mean, you're just
no, I'm not. And so I do have another group, FBA, FBEH. If you're from Canada,
hey, the FBA,
join that group.
Yeah.
So that's another group that I have. Amazing, right?
That's a nice little chat comment here. Oh, all right. From Tom. So
Slick.
That being said, you have your beer still?
Yeah.
It's probably warm by now. Your Rolling Rock. Where is Rolling Rock coming out of? Is that a Canadian? That's not a Canadian beer,
No,
is
it's
it?
not Canadian. It's out of New York.
Okay. All right. Oh, here's another question. Can you elaborate on the percentage of clothing you sell? I do remember you asking this question in the group, by the way. It's like, hello, ladies of Scanner Monkey. Tell me your foot size. That's the kind of questions that the Beaver asks in Scanner Monkey.
Yeah, exactly.
And always doing research, and we're always part of his polling system. So it's like you're wanting to find, obviously, the more popular sizes to see. It's like I'm not going to buy it too small or too big if these are the better selling items or what have you. So,
and so many people ask me to do a poll on bra size. And I know.
So what is your percentage of clothing that you sell? I mean, are you more on the men's clothes, women's clothes, shoes, shirts, pants, belts?
So I am buying mostly shoes. Okay. So what I did was, just after being ungated, I bought $1,000 worth of shoes and $1,000 worth of clothes. I sent the shoes in. Can you give me one piece of advice on shoes? Yeah, just one sec. So I sent in the shoes, and so far they're selling. I've probably sold about $300 worth of the shoes. The clothes. Remember that picture the other day where you got all those squished boxes?
Mm-hmm.
That I posted where my boxes got wrecked.
Yeah, like a linebacker got after them. Yeah.
So
those were mostly like clothes. Those weren't shoes. So fortunately, they weren't damaged. So yeah, that's good.
So that's my $1,000 worth of clothes. I shipped it to the border, and they rejected it at customs.
So mostly shoes.
Yeah.
But thankfully, that wasn't your box of shoes with boxes that would have been damaged by that. So what's your one piece of advice on shoes?
Yeah. So one piece of advice on shoes, I go for. I've had a lot of luck with children's shoes. So Stride Right, Sperry, things like that. Sperry are like the leather like
Yeah, boat shoes.
boat shoes. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
preppy shoe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the preppy shoes. Those seem to
Mm-hmm.
do really well, and the
But
competition on them.
children's. Yeah.
Children's. Yeah,
Okay.
I found that to be a really
Good tip.
good area. The other thing with
Yeah.
clothes, and I'll tell you about just one thing about clothes. So sometimes clothes has seasonal. They release, I don't know, whatever, this piece of clothing, and next year they have the same thing, another piece
Mm-hmm.
of clothing, but it's different. If you can find like last year's spring clothes,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can probably do very well because the rank is going to be still really good, but they're not going to be that much available on the market anymore. So, so that's something I've had. Like I found a bunch of spring clothes that were like from last season, and they told me we have 3 boxes of last year's stuff in the
Yeah.
back here, and we're going to clearance it out. So basically, I went in, looked at it all, and bought a lot of it because there wasn't a lot of competition, but the rank was still good. So
Okay. Cool.
that's another tip.
And you're getting a great return. I mean, somebody had asked about ROI on clothing and shoes, and that's the great thing about if you can find something with a decent rank. A lot of times it starts at 50%, but that 50% could be 15 to 20 to 25 to $30 in your pocket. On shoes or on nice dress shirts or whatever it is.
Yeah,
that
a lot of
you're
times the shoes are on sale. A lot of times you have shoes like seasonal shoes. They'll mark them down, they'll blow them out. So
right.
big shoe sales seem to be fairly common.
And we're talking retail right now, right? When you
retail,
say big
yeah.
You're not doing, I mean, you're doing both online arbitrage and retail arbitrage when it comes to shoes, but it's like 50-50, or what would you say your breakdown would be now at this point with your VAs?
Yeah, it's probably 50-50. On OA, I have a tendency to go for the higher priced shoes. So like, you can get into some shoes that are like $200 on sale for $100, stuff like that. And there's even, higher than that.
Women's shoes.
Yeah.
I found some good women's shoes in TJ Maxx they fit that category where it's like, dude, this is selling for $160 and it's $30 here. Am I looking at the right brand here? It's blows me away, some of the stuff that you can find that's just discontinued or last season or whatever.
What I found with clothing though is, I mean, the clothing I was probably would make $5 to $10 per item, but it's a lot of work. You got to fold it, you got to bag it. It's a lot of I don't do a lot of bagging, probably like 5% right now, excluding clothing. But clothing is like a lot of bagging, and that takes time.
When you're doing the online portion, I mean, you don't have to give up all your sources, but are you going to some of the major stores like a Macy's.com or a JCPenney or, some type of shoe store online, or are you kind of going with more of the lesser known, more regional stores?
No, I mean, there is probably, from what I found, there's probably like 5 or 6 major shoe places that are serious discounting. So actually there's one down there, Belk seems to be one of them. They offer pretty good deals on shoes. There's a few other sites, but we're actually, and one of the VAs, she's going through and finding every site. We probably have a list of like 1,800 websites that sell items. We went through and found all the ones that sell shoes. And now she's going and looking at each store, try 10 things, see if you can find anything.
Yeah.
And if we find anything, then we can kind of dig into it more. So that's kind of
So
one
you're
of the
narrowing it down from the 1800 to see, what would be good, almost like replens in a way. It's like I can continue to go to this store.
Yeah, exactly.
1800, that's crazy.
But
It's
1800
found the end of the internet. 1800. That's how many there are.
That's not shoe stores. That's like stores in general. But we
but they
classified
also
like
sell.
What do they sell? Do they sell clothing, shoes, electronics, whatever,
Yeah.
and then
Gotcha.
focus in on the ones that sell shoes? So
Okay.
that's one of the strategies.
We are now an hour and a half in. I knew this was going to happen. I knew there was no way I was going to get you in under an hour because I knew we were just going to have too much fun talking.
I thought I'd run out of things to say.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Cordelia, is that pretty much it for the questions from the chat room? So I actually wanted to close out with a toast. Since I'm talking to a Canadian here, I do a lot of toasts in my line of work, my day job. So I actually have one that I found for Canada. I don't know if this is a toast that you've ever done. And if not, I can pass it on to you, and it's something that you can use with your Canuck buddies. But here's my toast to Canada. You ready? Okay. You got your beer? You got your warm beer?
Wait.
All right. So here's my toast. Toast to Canada. Here's to Canada, land of the free. Daily life starts with coffee or tea. In winter we freeze, in summer we cook. In April the taxman throws us the book. September is gorgeous, bug season has passed. Lake water's still warm and the sail's up the mast. For tennis and golf our weather's divine. On political guff our friends still opine. Here's to Canada where discussions are style. Guns and violence are not worth our while. We argue, we listen, our points do come clear, and mostly it's done with mighty good cheer. Here's to Canada, our land that we praise. May peace be among us for the rest of our days. Our nation's dynamic, our people real smart. Raise a glass to Canada, a land that has heart. So here's to you, buddy. Thanks for coming on the show. And no, I didn't memorize that, by the way. It was written in front of me. So
that was a tough one. That was a long one, man.
That is a long one. You're not going to memorize that one. So if anybody wants, I can post that in the group tomorrow, and you can raise a glass with your Canadian friends and bring your cheat sheet with you. So anyways, well, I think we're going to call it a night now. It's been an hour and a half, and it's always a pleasure to hang out with you, buddy. The third scanner monkey. Brian Vino. If anybody has any other questions, obviously Brian is not a shy guy, as we all well know. You can ask him, you can PM him, you can join one of his 3 or 4 groups. You can talk to him in Scanner Monkey, Scan Power, Fast Turn. I don't think there's a group you're not in, right? You're everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but enjoyed hanging out with you. Thanks to the 70, I think we had 79, 80 people that joined us in the chat tonight. So good crowd. And we appreciate the knowledge. We appreciate the humor. And we look forward to seeing more from you in the group. Awesome. And for the few of you that may not be a Scanner Monkey, if you want to learn more about us, go to scannermonkey.com. And we also have a sister site called cybermonkeydeals.com, where we provide anywhere from 10 deals a day to 25 deals a day every single day of the month. Cybermonkeydeals.com, Cordelia already threw the website up, and scannermonkey.com are the websites. We hope you join us if you're not already a member. And everybody have a great night.
Thank you.